decided to go grab myself some coffee before getting into the thick of my studies. I grabbed my coffee, go to the cashier, and I pressed down my debit card to obviously do the deed, when to my horror, left the machine saying, "Don't forget to hit subscribe and smack that bell button to become an honorary TheFearRaiser member so that you never miss a video." So it's not every day that I tell a story quite like this one, but dagnabbit, I'm gonna tell it anyways. So guys, have you ever had this experience with your laptops, phones, or any device really, where you feel like you're being spied on? Serious question, let me know in the comments below. But like if your Alexa just seems to be listening in on your conversation, or for some strange reason, your laptop is perhaps acting a little funny? Well guys, in today's story, I wanna tell you about how I was robbed a lot of money, and how this Chromebook right here saved my cheeks from a very bad outcome. So this story happened not too long ago while I was attending classes and living the life of a university college student. Studying a lot, drinking an unhealthy amount of caffeine, and not having a social life, which, if I'm being honest, is still my life. Anyways, so I went out and bought myself a new laptop that I could also game with, and began taking it around with me everywhere I went. From studying to watching anime, it was my prime source for everything, which also included writing up video ideas for the channel, if you were wondering as well. One day, however, I think I happened to be watching a little too much anime, as my search results for some of the sites I would go on to binge watch anime for free had began to look questionable. Granted, I should have just known better and not bothered with going on them, but I was unlucky with finding some of the shows I wanted to watch anywhere else, which were shows like One Piece, Black Clover, and Seven Deadly Sins, which at the time I didn't know was on Netflix, so hey, rip me, I guess. Anyways, I'll never forget when I was binge watching One Piece, and if you're not watching One Piece, what are you doing with your life? But no, seriously, one night I happened to be watching a ton of anime, and the site that I happened to be watching it on was starting to give me very sketchy vibes. Like, it was very clear that the site I was on was a little sketchy, but when you've got an itch you want to scratch, and that itch happens to be watching anime, you'll go through any length to watch that anime, you know what I'm saying? So after watching a lot of anime on the sketchy site, I had noticed that my laptop started to act a little out of the ordinary. And to be really honest with you, this was more than out of the ordinary. It was very, very clearly disturbing, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, I would go on my laptop and there would be files that were moved around, and something that never happened to me before was my webcam was turning on and off randomly, and that was not a great feeling to have. Because as you would probably guess, it's a little unsettling. Not exactly something you'd want to experience with a product you use quite often. There were even a few nights where my laptop would randomly turn on and just start making these really awful sounds. Sometimes subtle, other times very loud. I was certainly not enjoying the idea that my laptop had seemingly become haunted, but unfortunately, my student pocket couldn't afford to get a new one, and the place I bought this laptop from was not really working with me to fix it or give it back. So, lesson learned. Be smart where you buy your tech from, my friends. Now, folks, let's be real. I, along with everybody who has a laptop or computer, they're all very personal. They're all very personalized. We all have our own personal, private data and information on our computers. Let's be real. Whether that include personal data or personal financing or just things you just don't want to get out there in the public. This is where I quickly learned that unlike Chromebooks, a lot of the products we use out there, like laptops and computers, etc., are very easily hackable. And that's actually what led to me getting this Sector 5 Chromebook. However, there's a whole lot more disturbing parts to the story that I haven't told yet, so allow me to continue. One day, when I had gone to university to study for an upcoming midterm I was having, I had decided to go into the library of the school because, well, it's a quiet place to study, and I personally find I'm easily distracted at home, so I went for it. There was also a coffee place at the entrance of the building, so I decided to go grab myself some coffee before getting into the thick of my studies. I grabbed my coffee, go to the cashier, and I pressed down my debit card to obviously do the deed, when to my horror, left the machine saying, "Decline." I am sure you've all had that awkward experience of having people in the line behind you waiting while you're there in complete shock as to how your debit card isn't working. I definitely had money in there because, well, My debit also had my university money for courses. So when I saw that it was declined, I knew something was terribly wrong. It's not really something that they talk about in school often nowadays, which is essentially the risks that can come from going on the computer, going on sketchy sites, and infecting your computer or whatever, your laptop, with malware and viruses that could essentially lead to you getting hacked or just ruin you in general. And I mean, hacking has become so much more of a common problem these days, and there are a lot of ways you can easily get tricked and manipulated into getting these viruses and malware on your computer, which would also lead to you getting hacked as well. Which is why I'm saying stay on top of your virus protectors, folks. They're there for a reason. After my awkward and shocking discovery, I had rushed to the bank and must have spent at least an hour trying to explain to them that something was very wrong with my account. This was when they had told me that I had a balance of $0. You can only imagine the drop I felt in the pit of my stomach when I was told that. The $10,000 that I had in my debit for my university was all gone. Just like that. After further investigation, they had confirmed that the money had been taken through some online transactions, and it was very clearly suspicious. The bank worked with me to figure out the issue, and from that moment on, I had no power in the matter, and had to just let them do their thing while they investigated. I was shattered. I thought I lost everything. All my personal information was on that laptop, and I was basically told by some professionals from a few tech support companies to not use it anymore because it was clearly infected with malware, Trojans, and all sorts of viruses, which would put me at more of a risk for using it. My laptop at this point was essentially fried, and I couldn't access all the important information I desperately needed. So I went out with my credit card and I bought myself a Chromebook. This Chromebook, actually, because after I had told them my story, they had essentially explained to me that Chromebooks, I keep hitting this mic. Chromebooks are special because they are essentially hack-proof and cannot be tampered with. Especially with the iOS Chrome Cloud feature, which I'd like to add when I had got this bad boy, had all my information stored on it from my laptop. So talk about a lifesaver. A few weeks later, I had heard back from the bank and they had confirmed that it was definitely a hacked transaction and that they would be sending me back all of my money missing, since it was a pure flaw on the bank's end for getting hacked, which thankfully led to them reimbursing my losses. With my money now back in the bank and a new Chromebook in my possession, I had learned a very valuable lesson. To be more careful with the sites I go on, protect my information better, buff up my security, and get a Chromebook so that I never have to worry about getting hacked ever again. Something I forgot to mention was that when the bank had confirmed that my account had been hacked, they had also mentioned that it was done so close to our location, stating the transaction was done so on the other side of town, which, as I'm sure you'd guessed, left me very uneasy knowing that this hacking had seemed to be done locally. But to this very day, nothing was ever really heard about it again. And well, guys, that's my story. Being hacked and robbed that kind of money was definitely a very scary experience, but I'm very, very happy the way things worked out, and I have to shout out the Sector 5 Chromebook for being the lifesaver that I needed during this time of crisis. And I do want to say, guys, that this Chromebook is a very genuinely great Chromebook to have, and if you are looking for something that is secure, that is hack-proof, cannot be tampered with, you want to get one of these bad boys. So if you want to get one of these bad boys right here, the Sector 5 Chromebook, be sure to check the description down below and click that link. It'll bring you over to the website, and you can take a look and potentially grab yourself one as well. So guys, again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope I see you in the next one. All right, guys, take care and have a great day. See ya!